Hello there, my friends. It is time for us to finish the book. So, the first chapters I'm going to read are 35 and 36. So, chapter 35. Akiko was an orange blur as she soared into the air and circled Kay's building, sizing up our battle scene. About 20 or so men, she called, maybe more. Before long, she joined May on the Moore School's rooftop. May stood stock still and again focused her powers on reading the hisser's mind. He's thinking about breaking windows, maybe starting a fire, May shouted as she read the oversized worm's evil intentions. Akiko flung fireballs at his henchmen in the street. I saw the Duke duck for cover behind what looked like a lot of unmarked police wagons, long and brown wooden sides, barely escaping one of her flaming strikes. And I caught sight of Harry Sawyer crawling behind the bumper of the Duke's curvy sedan across the street, his fedora smoking from a near miss. Anger flared inside of me at the thought of Harry's betrayal. While Akiko, May, and I were focused on Ursula, Harry had been one of the Duke's spies all along. I turned away from Harry and spotted more men crouching low behind nearby cars, avoiding Akiko's fiery wrath and awaiting direction from the slimy boss, the Hisser himself. The number surprised me. The Hisser's nest of spies was bigger than I first imagined. How could the three of us beat them? There was no time to doubt myself. As we donned the Carson Building fire in the battle at the Naval Shipyard, we just had to step up and do the best that we could. With Akiko and May busy on the roof, it was my turn to act, and fast. So I summoned all the strength I could muster and whispered into the night two of the most powerful words I could think of just then. I can. Scrambling around for something to slow the hisser down, I picked up a park bench that stood beside a lamppost. With all my might, I hurled it through the air at the hideous snake. This is the end of you and your evil, Hisser, I shouted. Then I saw a trash can, and I heaved that at him, too. I passed two bicycles leaning near the bakery, and I flung them at his menacing shape. They bumped against the Hisser's slimy scales and crashed to the ground. You're like a mosquito, he taunted, his laugh terrifying. I hardly felt that. And as if to put me in my place, his deadly split tongue shot from his mouth and slammed me backwards into the lamppost. My head rang like a telephone, but I had to shake it off. I stood up again and got my bearings. He's going to keep you busy in the street, shouted May from the rooftop, again reading the Hisser's thoughts, so that the Duke and the other spies can slip inside. I dodged another swipe from the Hisser's forked tongue, making sure to avoid his dangerous hypnotic stare as well. And then I took off towards Kay's door before the spies could get there. But movement to the right of me caught my attention. It was a group of what looked to be 4 college kids, laughing and talking as they passed down the street. At first they seemed oblivious to our battle, but then one of them caught sight of the Hisser's grotesque snake form and he screamed. Too bad for you, the Hisser laughed, his venomous head bobbing and fangs glistening in the moonlight. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he lunged at him. I couldn't bear to watch innocent people get caught in the Hisser's deadly game, so at the same moment the Hisser lunged, I dove for the college students, too. With a sweep of my arms, I scooped them all 4 under their armpits and carried them halfway down the block. I dropped them safely in the grass, but as I let go, my left arm burned with pain. You're bleeding, called one of the students as I took to the sky again. Hey, Kate's kid, are you all right? Flying back towards Kay's building, I touched my left shoulder and saw blood. One of the Hisser's razor-sharp fangs must have sliced my skin. Even if I had a way to bandage the wound, there was no time to fuss with it now. I'd have to remember to tell May and Akiko that our costumes didn't make us invincible. They just made us think we were. Back in the corner now, I hovered in the air and saw the Hisser make a go for the Moore School's front door. He bashed it with his tail, bricks shattered into the air with every hit. The Duke, with his shiny monocle over one eye, stood laughing behind him, signaling for the rest of his spy conspirators to scurry into the building. Like a pack of rats, they emerged from their hiding spots and darted across the street. I had to stop them from getting to Kay and the other computers. What would happen if they destroyed Project PX or stole it for the Nazis? And what would they do to my cousin and the other woman if they caught them? Pressing on my bleeding shoulder and feeling the pain shoot through my arm, I didn't have to try to imagine how the Hisser would handle them. Knock, knock, the Hisser boomed, his ear-splitting voice bursting the glass in the Moore School's window. Guess who's here? Flying above the street, I looked around for a way to block his advance. With silent feet, I landed just behind him. Even though rage simmered inside me at the thought of Emmett kidnapped and Kay threatened, I tried not to act from anger. I wasn't after revenge. What I wanted more than anything was to protect Kay and Emmett, and the other puzzlers and computers. And if I kept this secret project from falling into the wrong hands, maybe that would protect us all. Don't hesitate, came a voice hovering in the air beside me. He may seem more powerful than you, but don't lose heart. It was Hontima's ghost, fainter than ever, but back again to guide us. I can smell victory, the hisser boomed. These caped crybabies are nothing more than gnats to me, but luckily I come with a fly swatter. And lifting his rattlesnake tail, he whipped it to the ground. The sidewalk crumbled under the force of it. My throat went dry as a dust rag. But Hontima's silvery form was unfazed as she swept towards the curvy sedan parked near us. Use your gifts and defeat this villain, she urged. Hontima wills it. The hisser noticed Hontima's ghost, and he issued a deafening laugh that burst the domed glass of the streetlights and made my head throb with pain. A ghostly superhero, he howled. Where are the real ones? Like good old Hopscotch and the Stretcher and the rest, all tied up, I suspect? His scaly form was coiled in the middle of the street now, as his flat, deadly head bobbed back and forth, beady eyes studying Hontima's vapory shape. Now was my time to act. I wrapped my hands beneath the back bumper of the car, and with all my strength I lifted it high in the air, balancing the silvery grill front in both my hands. Look at her, shrieked one of the Duke's men to my left. The green kid's lifting a car, like the great Zenobia, hollered May, who swooped down from the rooftop and landed beside me. And Hantima herself, added Akiko with a sneeze. Achoo! And suddenly the Duke's fedora crackled with sparks, not to mention hopscotch and plenty others. No, not hopscotch, corrected May. She doesn't have superpowers. She's just got great fighting skills, along with a mask that keeps her secret. You mean Nova the Sun Chaser. Oh, you're right, Akiko said with annoyance, again. And then there's Miss Smash and the Rebel in Red, continued May. They have great costumes, but not super strength like the others. Okay, already, snapped Akiko. You're right. It's getting kind of annoying. I'm not trying to be annoying, May told Akiko. I'm trying to be accurate. I didn't have time to jump in their latest argument. With the shiny car balanced above my head, I tottered closer towards the hisser, and using all the strength I could muster, with a searing pain shooting through my left shoulder, I heaved the car forward. It landed on the hisser's deadly tail with a devastating thud. Should we save Harry while the hisser's distracted? Called Akiko in a hushed voice. I can transform into a net and snatch him to safety. Or I can try to make it snow on him, offered May. Maybe make him too cold to join with the bad guys? I could barely choke out the words. Leave him. Akiko and May shook their heads like they didn't understand. Just trust me on this one, okay? I said, trying to be heard despite the hisser's furious shrieking. It shattered the windows of every car around us. Trust you, echoed May, and her gaze was steady and knowing. What do you mean? Pressed Akiko. We thought Harry Sawyer was your friend. I'm confused. He acted like my friend, I said, my heart squeezing at the thought of his betrayal. It's so hard to admit how wrong I was. But I have to tell you, Harry is one of them, one of the bad guys. Akiko looked stunned. May seemed sad. I should have told you sooner, I said, desperate to get into the building and save Kay, but it's not easy to admit to you both that I'd been such a fool. Sometimes telling the truth, knowing I'm going to let somebody down, it's too hard. I'm sorry. What about Ursula, whispered Akiko. I thought she was the spy. May reached over and clasped my hand. It's okay, she whispered. You're not a fool. You're a friend, and you trusted someone. Akiko punched me in my gut arm. We'll stop harrying all of those dopes. Now let's quit gabbing and go. May jumped into action, raising her arms and summoning the wind. Lightning cracked in the sky and rain began to pour down in sheets. She was kicking up a hurricane. You've got to get inside, May called to us. I'll keep them back for as long as I can. It's up to you both to warn the computers. Akiko and I raced for the Moore School's entrance. She grabbed the knob and rattled the wooden door with all her might. It's locked, she said, her voice barely audible over May's howling storm and the hisser's angry wailing. What do we do now? We're superheroes, remember? I said, wanting to laugh despite the danger. We can't be stopped by a little locked door. I stared at the doorknob, squinting and trying hard to use the power of my mind to flip the deadbolt. But before I managed to make the lock turn, my concentration was interrupted by Akiko's sudden sneezing. Flames shot from her mouth in nose, the way I imagined a dragon might breathe fire, and suddenly the wooden door was engulfed in flames. Black embers fluttered to the floor at our feet, and with one nudge from Akiko's shoulder, the entire door caved in. We slipped through the charred opening and heaved a sigh of relief. I could get used to this, she laughed. Me too. Now let's find my cousin and the other computers, I said, racing towards the staircase, and Project PX. Chapter 36. This one's a graphic novel chapter, so I'll show you the page after I'm done reading in case you don't have your book. Let's barricade the entry, down here, in case they get past the storm. I'll get the door this time. No need to set anything on fire. You don't have to do telekinesis on the lock, you know. Pop, pop. So they're trying to get in. Who are you? And what do you want? We're haunted Miss Ghost. It takes up the whole room. Is this what an electronic computer looks like? Please tell us, is this Project PX? Because that's what some really bad guys out there are after. I think that's their way of knocking on the door. Bang, boom, bonk, thud, slam, bam. We're here to protect it, and you, from danger. If we're in the wrong room, you need to tell us, please. This is Project PX, also known as ENIAC. It's like a giant brain, you could say. It does the thinking faster than we ever could. ENIAC is shorthand for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. An electronic brain. The enemy would be very happy to get their hands on it. Is this everybody? Who's missing? Ursula called in sick. Otherwise, there's just the 6 of us. The Secret 6, the ENIAC 6. The 6 of us programmers made this heap of metal work. I'll take it from here. Thanks, mighty dust mites. Once we've carried off this computer for the Fuhrer, we'll deal with you tiresome tykes. But until then, take this. Crash, slam. Strange, the tear in my suit is still here, but the wound already healed. So it looks like the hisser came in and found them. Or maybe that's the Duke. I can't tell. Does he have a monocle? No, I think it's the hisser. Take that, bad guys. Ouch. Ah! I don't want any rain in here. It might electrocute everybody and probably short circuit the blinking thing. Wind, it will block the others. Hauntum is right. Sweep those goons out. This is my moment. You ladies need to step aside. As I always tell my cousin Josie, every problem has a solution, and we are on it. You'll pay for this with your life, green fungus. I've worked too hard to let you and your pixie pals undermine me. Bah, you're kids, for heaven's sakes. Girls. So you can see where Kay said something about Josie, so she obviously doesn't know that Josie is in the room with her. And you, sir, are going to get your hat handed to you by a bunch of girls. Cough, cough. Take that, demon reptile. You're not going anywhere. What the? No tricks, ladies. You may have stopped him, but you will never stop the Duke. This computer business is the future. It's how our army will defeat you. And this machine, this is how Herr Hitler will rule the world. Whack. Do you know who that is hitting him? So the hisser's tied up, but the Duke's trying to get it, and then somebody hits him. Let's take a closer look at that. I think that might be Harry. What are you doing? You're one of them. A traitor. Don't let him get away. He's Harry, another spy. Looks like you've done good work here. This might come as a shock to you kids, but we've been tailing the Duke and his network of spies for a few months now. And Harry here, he's been on our side, helping the whole time. Working for the FBI? So Harry is a good guy. He works for the FBI. So he was like a double agent. You're saying he's a double agent? Recruited by the Nazis to spy here on American soil. But like so many of us, he hates the Nazis. Harry volunteered to work against them. We gave him the alias Harry Sawyer, but his real name is William Siebold. Maybe we should call him by his real name now. Please, my friends call me Bill. All right, come back for the next video for 37 and 38.